Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the life of one of Grey's Anatomy's most iconic characters, Derek Shepherd, aka McDreamy. While he's often remembered for his charm and skill as a surgeon, not all of Derek's decisions have aged well over the years. In this video, we're going to explore 8 moments where Derek's choices, once seen as heroic or romantic, now seem a little more questionable. So before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more Grey's Anatomy content. Let's get started. Starting off at number 8, we have treating Meredith unfairly at work. After the iconic return of Addison at the end of Season 1, Derek's relationship with Meredith became fractured as he had to choose between the two women. Ultimately, he chose to try and save his marriage, leaving Meredith heartbroken after she told him to pick her instead. However, he became jealous of Meredith's love life and began to resent her, especially in the workplace. One of the main instances was when someone that Meredith had slept with turned up at the hospital and required medical help from none other than Derek himself. Derek, clearly jealous, made inappropriate jokes at Meredith's expense that wouldn't fly today.
Very long time ago.
At number 7, we have blaming Owen for the plane crash. The plane crash at the end of the Season 8 was one of the saddest episodes in Grey's Anatomy history, and the aftermath was just as heartbreaking. Season 9 was a dark time for the doctors at Grey Sloan, and Derek had a particularly hard time dealing with grief and the injury to his hand he sustained in the accident. However, whilst the other doctors wanted to move on from the crash, Derek was insistent in finding the person to blame for the ordeal, which ended up being Owen. Owen changed the plane companies due to budget cuts in the hospital's finances, and Derek held a lot of resentment towards him.
Hey, I heard there might be a judgment today. I hope that it works out for you.
No, you don't. Judgment comes down that quickly means the hospital's negligent. Means you did something wrong. Which you did.
Well, you've obviously been thinking that for a while. Glad you finally got it out in the open. And for the record, I really do hope it works out for you.
And at number 6, we have being hypocritical towards Addison. Derek was understandably heartbroken after discovering Addison's affair with Mark, but he eventually chose to give their marriage another try when Addison returned to Seattle. However, when they reconciled in Season 2, he constantly reminded her of her betrayal, making it clear that he hadn't fully forgiven her. At the same time, Derek continued to have strong feelings for Meredith throughout and even slept with her. Despite his harsh treatment of Addison, it's clear that Derek was guilty of similar mistakes. In hindsight, Addison may not have been the villain she seemed to be when she was first introduced. Both she and Derek were equally flawed in their actions.
We have to know how to take.
At number 5, we have pushing Meredith away. After a surgery went wrong and a woman died at his hands, Derek elected to quit his job and hide away in his trailer in the woods. This resulted in Derek spiraling into depression and pushing everyone away, including Meredith. It showed Weber attempting to break through to Derek by telling Meredith that he was planning to propose to her. However, the well-meant plan went awry when Meredith confronted Derek, only for Derek to unceremoniously bat the engagement ring into the woods.
Here's your ring.
Considering all that Meredith and Derek had gone through, it seemed wrong for him to push her away when she was the closest person to him. Whilst it was true that he was hurting, looking back, his actions were hurtful to Meredith and completely unnecessary. Coming off at number 4, we have underestimating Amelia. Amelia and Derek's relationship was notoriously up and down, as Derek often switched from supporting his sister's endeavors to undermining her completely. Upon Amelia's introduction to Grey's Anatomy, Derek constantly put her down, and chose to focus on her actions from the past, rather than the person she had grown to be. Amelia's history as a drug addict was exposed in the hospital, and Derek failed to stand up for his sister. Instead, he went behind her back to talk to Owen about the situation, nearly getting Amelia fired in the process. Derek always insisted that he was a family man, and therefore should have respected and cared for his sister more.
I feel like I owe you an explanation about what you heard last week.
You don't need...
I had a pill problem. I got clean. 2 years ago, I relapsed, and for a brief time, I got into Oxy. And then shooting Oxy. I lost someone. That was rock bottom, and I have been clean ever since.
Listen, Derek told me everything you need, so you don't have to...
I work for you, and I respect you, and I like you, so if it's all right, I don't care to hang my professional relationships on Derek Shepherd's reputation. I needed you to hear it from me. I know it's a choice. keeping me on. I know I'm a risk.
We're all at risk. You all have something.
At number 3, we have comparing Meredith to her mother. Derek certainly transformed over the years, but by season 11 it seemed he hadn't lost his egotistical and selfish streak. Meredith and Derek's relationship was in a fractured state throughout this season after Derek begrudgingly gave up moving to DC to fulfill the promise he made to Meredith of prioritizing her work. In this episode, he cruelly tells Meredith, "You sound just like your mother."
Decided to stay here and martyr yourself and now make me feel guilty because of a decision you made. Well, I am done. I'm done feeling guilty, and I am done measuring my accomplishments against yours. I won't do it anymore. Just stay out of my way.
Wow. You sound just like your mother.
Considering Meredith's relationship with her mom was never great due to how Ellis neglected her in favor of work, Derek's words were a cheap ploy to guilt Meredith for putting herself first. These days, it is not unfathomable for someone to have a promising career and be a good parent, and Derek's reference to Ellis's cold ways was an unfair and frankly outdated insult. And at number 2, we have choosing his career over Meredith's. One of the biggest things Derek did that doesn't hold up today was when he promised Meredith he would step back from his work so she could focus more, and then promptly went back on his word. It showed the couple reaching breaking point, as Meredith realized that if she were to move to DC with Derek, she would also be in the shadow of his career. Derek decided to stay and live up to his promise, only to leave a few episodes later.
I lose on the plane by 7.
No, I don't. I think I need to stay here.
His ego was one of the things that made Derek an overrated character, and this instance proved it. He tried to pressure Meredith to do something worthy to make him staying in Seattle justified, and eventually decided to go to DC to pursue his career anyway. It was a selfish move, and it never made sense for Derek to expect Meredith to leave her home to follow him, or to leave Meredith and their children, even if it was a job for the president.
And it all feels like one long, inescapable moment. Go. So what does it mean? Richard! What do we take away?
Finally, at number 1, we have cheating on Meredith. Derek and Meredith's relationship was in a critical state after Derek left for DC, and the cracks really began to show. The episode included flashbacks to Derek's time in DC, where he gradually got closer and closer to one of his research fellows, eventually kissing her. Whilst Derek expressed his guilt for cheating on Meredith, there was no real fallout from it. He was let off the hook quite easily. It's easily one of the worst things Derek did, and yet it was written off as just a small mistake that was quickly forgiven. And there you have it. 8 decisions made by Derek Shepherd that don't look so great when we revisit them now. These choices remind us that nobody is perfect, and they add layers to the complexity of his character. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Derek's decisions, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more Grey's Anatomy content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.